Hey everyone, my name is Drew and I work on the product team here at RudderStack. Today I want to walk you through a small but meaningful improvement that we've made to our Braze integration. One of RudderStack's goals is to help developers build robust, governed, and flexible data pipelines seamlessly as possible, and that can scale as seamlessly as possible. That means reducing configuration overhead wherever we can, especially when best practices from downstream tools, like in this scenario, Braze, require perhaps a more complex setup. So this feature is really more for the businesses that have a full stack, maybe multiple apps, multiple websites across various platforms like iOS and Android and Shopify or JavaScript setup, where you may want to implement device mode, which is where we inject Braze's SDK within your application across, in this case, maybe you want to do it across multiple different platforms. So Braze actually recommends in this scenario using separate app identifier keys for each platform, for iOS, for Android, for web, so you can get clean data attribution and proper analytic segmentation. But until now, RudderStack only supported one app key per Braze destination. So that actually meant if you had this type of a setup, you needed to separate Braze destinations in your RudderStack workspace, manage them separately. And for teams using cross-platform frameworks, even like React Native or Flutter, this got even messier. So we fixed it. So with multi-app key support, you can now configure platform-specific app identifier keys for Android, iOS, and web, all within a single Braze destination. So let me show you how this works. So I'm going to come to my collections page here. I'm going to add a new destination and search for Braze. And I'm going to connect, I'm just going to connect a few of these sources here. And I'll just name this. Okay, so now you can see this is where if we were simply only leveraging cloud mode, our server-to-server connection, we would just input our REST API key here. But in this case, we actually want to configure a device mode for, let's say in this case, our Apple source and our Android Java SDK source. So I'm going to click on device mode for both of these. And you can see above, the UI changed a little bit because we just changed it to device mode. So previously we had a app key that you would have to input here, in which case you would input a single app key, whether it was your iOS or your Android, because again, like I mentioned earlier, we only supported one. Well, now you can see that we have a new toggle here where you can enable multi-app key support. The reason why this is toggled off is for backwards compatibility. The default is that it's off. You have to optionally opt into this. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle this on, and you can see the field forms change slightly here. So what we have now is, of course, our REST API key for the server-to-server connection like we had earlier, but also we have individual keys for each of our mobile applications. So you can see these fields appear dynamically based on the sources that you have connected in device mode. You simply paste in your relevant app identifier keys here from your Braze dashboard for each platform. And then the RudderStack SDK will automatically detect which platform the event is coming from and then route it to the correct Braze app and segment it accordingly within your Braze instance. So the default app identifier key that you see here, it's still here. It acts as a fallback if you happen to not migrate or choose not to. If you don't specify a platform specific key, events will still flow to Braze using this default. So this also means that your existing setup won't break. One important note though is if you want to take advantage of this new feature, you'll actually need to upgrade your device mode SDK to the minimum supported version. And these specific versions are actually listed in our documentation, and I'll link that below as well. And this is just a very quick version bump in your app's dependencies, but it does require an app release. So this feature is now generally available in all RudderStack customers, and you can start using it today. Just head over to your Braze destination settings and enable the toggle. Check out our updated documentation for the full setup guide. Thanks for watching.